presence that's kind of emanating from the screen right now. It's really a joy to be with you. And, I wrote the description for this session many months ago. And I was pleasantly surprised, actually, a couple of weeks when I looked at it to realize that the focus for this time is really going to be on practice. As it says in the description, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, this is a time when it's often very cold. It gets dark very early. Here in Providence, the sun starts setting at around 4:20 in the afternoon. I know that's not the earliest that the sun starts to set in the US, but it's a big change. And yet it's a time of year that often draws us out. There are a lot of parties and holidays and also just the culmination of a year. So there's often a lot of pressure. Jonathan and I were just talking about, you'd think that at the end of the year, if you're going to be going on winter break soon, we should eliminate meetings at our places of work, right? So we can actually get the work done. So I know that for all of us, we're all bringing a host of pressures, emotions, expectations, things about this season that are very particular to this time of year, whether you're in the Northeast or you're across the globe. And so you showed up today for a particular reason. And the real intention that I have for our time together is to be in community in practice. As possibly a response and an antidote to this pull, this strong pull. I know in my house, we've been having nightly fires in the fireplace, like literally gathering my partner and our dog towards the hearth, this wish for stillness and warmth and care as the darkness descends outside. Through this practice together, we can really recollect how much the present moment offers us. The French philosopher Simone Weil said, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity." This time of year is often a time of gift giving and gift getting. And this quote is such a beautiful reminder of what we have available, whether our bank account is high or low. Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity. And in our time today, I want to really invite us to offer this generosity to ourselves. There's also a quality that's often highlighted in this season that we can invite in with our present moment focus, which is the quality of peace. And yet there's a lot going on in the world right now that challenges the very nature of peace. Who doesn't want peace? And yet it can feel quite out of reach. And to that end, I'd like to share a slide of a poem that has been meaningful for me and many. And it's helpful sometimes when we share things spoken to also be able to see it. So you're welcome to just allow the words to wash over you or to read along. So Dorothy Hunt wrote this, "Peace is this moment without judgment." Do you think peace requires an end to war? Or tigers eating only vegetable? Does peace require an absence from your boss, your spouse, or even yourself? Do you think peace will come some other place than here? Some other place than now? In some heart other than yours? Peace is this moment without judgment. That is all. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Peace is this moment without thinking that it should be some other way, that you should feel some other thing. that your life should unfold according to your plan. Peace is this moment without judgment, this moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Did you notice that the poem doesn't say that the mind needs to be spacious or quiet, that there aren't any anxious thoughts or rumination or hard or strong feelings? It doesn't indicate that we need to be in any particular state at all, with any particular feeling, except that we can open, that we might be willing to be open to receive whatever is here without judgment. I find this poem to be so radical as well because it's peace is this moment. So we only have to take care of this moment, which makes it perfect for mindfulness practice. We can let the next moment happen in its own time, which, if we're taking care of this moment, often will show up differently. And of course, we know this is not easy. But as many of you also know, this can be supported with our intentions. So take a moment right now, just for yourself, and reflect on what made you show up today. What brought you into this room when I'm sure, like everybody here, we have lots and lots of things to do. And yet you made the time and the space, and that's not a small thing. What are you hoping for? And how might your intention support that? We can hope for a lot. And if we align our intentions with what we most hope for, it gives us a much better chance of realizing those hopes and intentions, rather than sitting back and waiting for life to show up and give us what we want. So consider in this moment what your intention is, what you might bring to this practice that will start in a few moments. Keeping it simple, realistic. Maybe a sense of collectedness, appreciation for self or others, a reset. Just allow one or two words to percolate. And if nothing shows up, that's also fine. We don't have to make a big deal out of it. Just trust what comes. And if you feel comfortable and it would be supportive to you, put it in the chat. It can often be very supportive to see what others are coming in with, to see that we're not alone. That often our intentions support each other's. It's almost like we can weave together these intentions as a beautiful tapestry, an illustration of our time here together. Reset. And I'll read through a few of these. I won't do them all because there's a lot, but they're beautiful to be and to notice. A steady, mindful moment. Care for self. To be less reactive to the outside inputs that I cannot control. Self-compassion. In community with an open heart. Connection, love, sense of groundedness in this busy time, grounding into gratefulness. Self-acceptance, in Sangha of kindness, to be in the moment in community, quiet my thoughts and set intention for the season. Community, calm, rejuvenate my practice, expand my ability to support others, opening my heart to the next step in life, flexibility. These are so moving. Go deeper into my inner space and release in good company, quiet and stillness away from the busyness of life. So what I would ask for your permission is to take these not associated with any particular person and just put them in the blog when I finish the blog. So you all can go back and recollect the power of this community together. We think of community sometimes as, something ongoing where we get to know each other in an ongoing way. And yet we also know that in the mindfulness community, we can know each other in this quite intimate way as human beings, even if we don't know what your favorite color is or when your birthday is. So I really appreciate the outpouring of heartfulness here in the chat. Thank you. I'll also just say that if it's useful, it's also possible, or if it feels like another step in that outpouring, it's possible to include in this intention, offering the fruits of our practice for someone or some community or a situation. And we won't put these into the chat, but you might right now kind of plant it as a seed in your heart. It could be for someone you know who's close and suffering in some way. It could be for a community or a part of this earth that's suffering. We can all benefit from this practice together, even those we may not know, who don't speak our name or our language, even those who we may, in some level, be at odds with. But it's powerful to open ourselves to connect at this human level. So as we move into some movement practice, I just invite you to look and make sure that your mute button is on. And Jonathan, I might ask you just a support to mute everyone. This will cut down on some ambient noise. And so we're going to start with an invitation to movement practice. And some of us, I'm at work right now, but I'm in a fairly protected space. You might be inclined to get on the floor and stay tuned so you can hear. You might stand. I'll offer some guidance, but please follow what's right for your body. There's no particular way these movements need to be done. And as simple as they might appear, each of us has very unique physical circumstances that is a mindful practice of its own to attend to. So if you're sitting, just take a slight lift in your posture. You might want to plant your feet firmly. You're also welcome to stand or lie down, lying down on your back. The intention is to find a posture of wakefulness and ease, dignity, presence. You might even feel this automatic deeper breath or a settling that arises as you feel into a balanced posture. You can rock forward and backward. This doesn't really happen very well if you're lying down, but sensing into how the body finds its balance. And then allowing the body, if you're standing or sitting, to find that quality of solidity and stability. And the eyes can lower or close. not rigid. The breath itself might bring an undulation of movement, subtle. And as you befriend gravity, here's a gift, the gift of gravity, generous. And you can give over the weight of your body little by little without force. Throughout the day, the body often accumulates small, subtle tensions. Some are more obvious, like the shoulders or the jaw. But check in with the forehead, the throat, the inner and outer corners of the eyes. Moving down through the body, check in with the lower belly, the hands, the buttocks and thighs. Letting awareness itself be an invitation to soften, if that's possible. And as you're ready, and if you care to, allowing the arms to come up either by your sides or in front of you, just to the place that's right for you, not going beyond your limits. And moving perhaps at a slightly slower pace so you can warm the tissues and feel the sensations, and bringing the arms down as you're ready. And you can play with this movement up and down in your own time and way. You can include looking up if that's wise for your neck. If it's better for you to move more quickly, please do. You're in charge. Knowing that it's possible to pause anywhere in this range of movement. So sometimes maybe right at the horizon, a good stretch through the chest would feel good, kind of lifting up, really trusting yourself to move as is wise and needed. And the next time the arms come up, you might want to explore a side bending, and you can do this in a number of ways. You can drop one arm down by your side and crescent shape over. And if you're lying down, you know how to do this, kind of bending to one side. Opening up the whole window of your side while staying very grounded, the feet and the hips. Not staying longer than is right for you, but coming up slowly when you're ready. Switching sides. Inviting the breath to be as full as it really wants to be. And here too, you can repeat this movement on both sides as you wish. I always find it really interesting to repeat a movement and see how different it is. Maybe greater range, maybe less. You're welcome to, again, if this is wise for your neck, you might turn up to look up and down. And then returning both arms to your side and just pausing here. Unwrapping the present of this moment after just a few brief movements. Let's continue to work a little bit more with the shoulders and the arms and the upper chest by rolling the shoulders up and back. And then if you care to, you can take the sides of, this is hard to do if you're lying down, but if you're sitting or standing, take the sides of your chair or clasp your hands behind your back or anywhere that opens the chest. This is a particularly good one in preparation for sitting meditation, which we're going to be doing in a moment. Really inviting the breath to move all the way through the lungs from the lower ribs all the way up to the shoulders, not lifting the shoulders, but filling that last bit of lung up at the top. Returning to balance, and once again pausing. And one more, which is a spinal twist. So if you're sitting or standing, you'll be twisting the upper body. If you're lying down, your upper body can stay still and you can draw your knees to your chest and twist the lower part of your body. So if you're sitting or standing, just choose one side and turning any amount, using your hands as leverage. Not needing to push, but enjoying the ringing action of the spine and the torso. Breathing here and as best you can, lifting the chest a bit so you're not collapsing in, but really extending. And returning as you're ready through center and the other side. And you're welcome to repeat this movement if that would be useful a few times, or to make any movements that your body needs before we settle in for a practice of stillness and meditation. Knowing that even as we transition, this is all part of the practice. Not separate. Another way we can really honor the present moment and the gift that the present moment gives is recognizing that even our meditation posture doesn't have to be rote. So maybe you always sit cross-legged on the floor to meditate with nothing behind your spine. And maybe you're a little fatigued today. And maybe sitting with something supporting your back would be useful, would be an act of care, self-love, really. So really taking what props you might need as you settle in to more stillness, knowing that at any time, if you need to change your position, you're absolutely welcome. Resting in whatever shape you've chosen for the body. Once again, possible to open and unwrap the gift of gravity. After the movement, you might find a little more space for the breath. And gently allowing your attention to land on a place, a region of the body that feels available and neutral and simple. It could be the feet on the floor, your seat in the chair or cushion, the contact points. Maybe your hands in your lap. Or perhaps somewhere you feel the breath vivid and alive. The chest, or the belly, or the nose, or somewhere else, perhaps the lower back. Choosing an anchor, a resting place for your attention. We don't assume that once we've chosen this anchor, that our attention will automatically stay there. In fact, part of the practice is the recognition that the mind will wander. It's what minds do. We don't have to try and avoid this happening or make it stop. It's pretty impossible. But we can know when the mind has wandered whenever we do, whether that's one breath or 10 breaths after it's wandered. As soon as we recognize we've wandered off from the present moment, we're back completely in the present. Another form of the present moment's generosity. No blame, no harshness needed. allowing the anchor to be center stage in the field of awareness. And thoughts, emotions can just move to the back. It's okay if they keep running. You can just be on a different channel. And even if the mind is quite busy, even if in your environment there's sounds, noises, is it possible to feel into the silence that holds it all? So we don't have to fight whatever's arising. Peace is this moment without judgment. This moment in the heart space where everything that is welcome. Also possible that as we attend in this way to the anchor, some stability arises. And there may be a very natural and gradual opening from the narrow focus to a larger focus, perhaps the entire body sitting. Your own practice will tell you. Start to feel too dispersed or too wide of a lens, then you can come back to the anchor, returning with gentleness and firmness. And also explore gently opening the eyes. Many of us only practice meditation with our eyes closed, and it's interesting to invite this uh, other landscape into the process. Is it possible to hold a soft gaze at the same time that you feel your attention in the body, whatever anchor point you've chosen? This can be a really useful practice in the midst of a lot of busyness, even to recollect this experience, steeping in the quiet of your own good company and our community, and feeling the moment unfold. Light and sound and color. Gently, if you've experimented with this, allowing the eyes to close once again or lower. And no matter what has happened in this practice, appreciating yourself, your energy, your intention, your goodwill, your hopes. Inviting a deeper and more deliberate in-breath And again, with as much care as you came into this stillness, you can invite a little bit of movement and stretching. It doesn't have to be a drastic change. Actually, taking good care of the moments as you transition from a formal practice is another gift we can give ourselves to extend this possibility, this peace. It's also helpful just to look around your space before you join back with the screen. This is very grounding and orienting. And would really welcome anyone who would care to bring their voice into the room, anything about the practice. You're welcome to use your raise hand function, or if you'd like to share anything in the chat. We often think that, these times of sharing after practice have to be something big or monumental, but it doesn't. It's amazing how just to have a little space in our lives can really shift our perspective. Susan, were you wanting to bring your voice in? I saw a hand go up, but it was a clapping hand.
Oh, well, there you go. I was clapping. I didn't mean to clap, but I'm at work today and have, for whatever reason, it's another seminar. I have many meetings in a day. And I guess Marin is just saying, thank you for the gift of stillness. And I can't remember the other word, but this idea of stillness and tranquility. And to think that we can find that in ourselves in the middle of the day. And quite frankly, Lynn and folks, I feel more prepared to go into my next meeting. I think that's the gift I'll bring. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. And I really encourage, we've had the luxury of all this time together. We could really take time with our own muscles and tissues in our bodies. And then, a fairly, 17 minutes or 18 minutes of sitting practice. But it's surprising what we can do in 30 seconds, a minute and a half. And again, like you're saying, what a gift to ourselves and those who we're going into the next meeting with. People feel this. Yeah, anyone else want to bring your voice in? I'm seeing Julia's comment here. It was so powerful to know we were all meditating together. Yes. Yeah, Rachel, please.
Thanks, Lynn. This has been wonderful. And I'll just note that I really appreciated the moment when you said, to notice the sound or the silence in which all the sounds around me were happening. I'm in my home working from home, and my dishwasher is running on one side and cars are driving on the other side. But there is a certain amount of quiet. But it gave me a moment to think, oh, in any space, sound occurs within that larger silence. And I played with that idea in fun ways. And it's just nice to be in community and have new ways to look at these same things. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for bringing the spirit of play in. I feel like if meditation can't be playful, we're missing some of the biggest takeaways from this. It reminds me, it wasn't at the holiday time, but I visited friends many years ago at in Minnesota at the mall, and we went to the Mall of America. Have any of you heard of this place? It's kind of wild. And my friend who lived there, she was very generous by saying she'd go with me. She says, it's a zoo. I said, I know, but I need to experience it. And we were sitting, getting a beverage or something, and it was clearly really just on her edge of overwhelm. And I said, if you just pause, and can you hear the silence in the cacophony? And she said, oh, I never thought of it that way. So maybe when you're in the midst of, family or parties or those kinds of things, you can drop into that experience of the peace, the silence that all the sounds are arising from. So play. Thanks, Rachel, for bringing that. Yeah, anyone else? We have another minute or two.
I really enjoyed the just movement before, because a lot of times I'd meditate in the morning and I just go straight to sitting, and the movement before is really helpful, I think. Just, if you're going to be sitting for half an hour, to move your body. But I always find like walking before meditating to be helpful, or dancing. So even just that stretching, it makes a lot of sense. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so often just a little movement helps the body settle before the stillness. We can't like force ourselves into, it's just, then it becomes just another something on our to-do list. Thank you. And I will post that poem. It will be part of the blog post that will be coming in a few days. Any final comments, thoughts? It's so lovely to bathe in your presence and in this grand community here. Feels like a real gift.
I would like to express my thanks and gratitude for this time together. I think of it as a sacred pause. I was thinking of a sacred noonday, well, here on the East Coast. Pause in community and a self-care practice. It was lovely. Thank you. And it's nice to be in community with this mindfulness practice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, we, there are many traditions that honor this time of year as sacred. And as human beings, sometimes we shy away from that word, but the word, it's trendy right now, the word awe. And we know this instinctively, like, right? You walk out and you see a beautiful sunset or something in nature, or a smile on someone. Even I was going to say someone you love, but even a stranger. How many times do we pass a dog or somebody, and we can be uplifted if we're willing to really step into the moment.
Maybe I did use that word without really thinking so much about what the word means, but it resonates for me. A self-care practice, just honoring myself, honoring the moment, honoring that peace within. I suppose I should look up what the definition of sacred is.
Well,
but I love it. Sacred pause just works for me. So I shared it.
Thank you. I think it's great. I think it's really, there's something about when we name things, when we resonate with those words. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Well, we're heading into the next hour, and I want to give you a present of a few minutes between things. For those of you who have 1 o'clock Zooms, or you've got to get your kid to somewhere, or your pet to the vet, take these extra moments as we approach the top of the hour and nourish yourselves. Thank you so much for your practice, and all good wishes for the new year. Bye-bye, everyone. And you're welcome to take yourself off mute and bring your voices in, whatever language you'd like.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Gracias. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Gracias.
everyone.
Muchas
Bye,
gracias.
everyone.
Bye.
Obrigado.
Bye.
Muito obrigado.